Hey everyone, it's Emily, and today we're going to be talking about all of the short reads that I have on my TBR. So I'm defining short reads as 250-ish pages and under, and one of the things that I would love to do this year is have different themed reading weeks where I, have a set theme for my reading for the week or maybe 2 weeks and kind of vlog that experience. And one of the things I would love to do is have a time set aside, a week or two, to just get through as many short reads as I can. And so I wanted to just have a ready list of short reads so that I could go back to this if I draw that prompt. So one thing I have on my Fairy Loot tarot cards is a prompt associated with different cards. So I'm hoping to either draw cards for a TBR or for these themed reading weeks, and short reads is on there. So I would love to be able to just have a ready list, of short reads and just look back at this video and just say, alright, I have a bunch on my TBR. Let's just pick ones I feel like reading and go from there. So let's just jump right in. I'm going to start with my fiction ones and kind of work my way to my nonfiction ones. So I have Star Trek Next Generation, The Sons of Commission by Susan Wright. And I believe this one follows the Enterprise, and I think there's a murder on the Enterprise that Worf is framed for. So I'm a huge Trekkie, and so I'd love to see if some of the Trekkie books would be something I could get into. So I have one of those. This was something that a friend of mine gave to me to borrow. This is New Erotica for Feminists, and it's by a bunch of different authors. So it's supposed to be kind of a satirical set of stories that answer the question, what do women want, what do feminists want? And apparently include, Adam and Eve retellings, tales of respectful, tender dates, stories of power, equality, and obviously an immortal Ruth Bader Ginsburg. So I'm excited to check it out. I really don't know what to expect, but she said she had fun reading it, and that she would recommend it to me and then just kind of pass it on to other feminists that we know. And so I'm excited to dig in, and hopefully I can do that soon so that I can pass it forward and kind of keep it going in our group. I also have Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer, and this one is the start of a series of really short books, novellas, and this one follows an area that's kind of been off limits, and every time a group of scientists have gone in to study this area, they haven't come back, and it's kind of this area where nature is just kind of taken over. And this one follows, I think, the 11th or 12th expedition of scientists who want to go and check this area out and learn more. That's all I really know. It is a movie that I also have not seen, but I've heard this is super weird, but super interesting, and I am interested to see if it's my kind of weird or not, so we'll see. This one was a gift from my brother for Christmas, and this is a collection of Kurt Vonnegut short stories. I'm not sure if there's a theme around these short stories or not, but it's a collection of short stories from Kurt Vonnegut. I also have a series of books, and they're all around 250 pages. This is the Pebble in the Dark trilogy by Anthony Bodding, and I really am hoping to get to these relatively soon. Hopefully in the spring, early summer is when I have it set. But yeah, I think it would be really cool to just binge this series, and they're all pretty short, so maybe I can dedicate a week to just binging through these. And it follows this pebble, I think an onyx pebble that is very powerful, has kind of been lost to time, but has been, I don't know if it's been found recently or something, and it follows characters interacting with this onyx pebble and various groups who struggle for power and control. Not really sure. I'll need to double check before I get into the series. The synopses are pretty short, and honestly I don't necessarily want to know too much going into it. I just kind of want to dive in and see if I like it. So those are some of my fiction ones that I have that are short. I also have plenty of non-fiction ones, including the autobiography of Benjamin Franklin. Nothing else to really say about that. I have In the Dust of This Planet by Eugene Thacker. I think this is book 1 of 2, and this one follows, or not follows, but this one discusses environmentalism and environmental catastrophe kind of in the context of horror tropes that we see in horror books, movies, and kind of looks at those tropes and looks at environmentalism and environmental apocalypse. And it's a philosophy book, so I'm not really sure what to expect, but I heard it was really interesting, and I ordered this one some years ago and I haven't read it yet, but I actually really do want to get to this one. I also have No Impact Man, and this one is by Colin Beavan, and this one follows his attempt to have as little impact or no impact on the earth as possible, and just to kind of learn how he can control how much waste he produces, how much stuff he uses and collects, and kind of discovers a lot about himself and about these systems in the process. And so I'm super intrigued to kind of just get his musings on minimalism, environmentalism, you know, reducing your impact on the earth, and just kind of how those intersect and just the lessons he's learned. I also have a couple by Mitch Albom. I have The 5 People You Meet in Heaven and The Next Person You Meet in Heaven. And I think my brother gave me this one. I found this one at a library book sale. And I really enjoyed Tuesdays with Morrie. I read it as a kid with my family, and I don't think I've read any others by him, but I am definitely excited to dive into these. I also have A Vindication of the Rights of Women. I've read part of this, but I really would just love to read the whole thing. This is by Mary Wollstonecraft, and it's just a classic feminist text, so would love to read that. I also have quite a few books on writing that I would like to get to at some point, including this one, How to Write Science Fiction and Fantasy. I got those at Half Price Books a long time ago. I actually forgot that it was written by Orson Scott Card, and yeah, I just am very interested in writing science fiction fantasy, and so this one's a pretty short guide, and yeah, hopefully at some point I can just dive into some of my writing books and have that help encourage me to get started and get some direction getting started. I also have The Connector's Advantage by Michelle Tillis Letterman, and I heard her speak on a podcast and she just seemed great, and this book just seemed super interesting, and it's just kind of different strategies, mindsets, mostly just about deeply connecting with people, and it talks about influence and impact, but I think her argument in this is that you can't even do any of those things, even if that's not your end goal. Like, if that is your end goal, you can't do any of those things without truly connecting with people. But even if that isn't your end goal, there are so many benefits that can come with these mindsets that can kind of help you build habits that allow you to connect more deeply to people, and that there's just so much that can come out of that. And so yeah, got this after listening to that podcast and would love to read it. I also have The Artist's Way, and this is by Julia Cameron, and this is, I had this as a potential on my TBR for, was it Newts, maybe? One of the magical readathons, and I ended up reading something else instead. I think I ended up reading The Honeymooners. This one was one where you had to read something with a bird on the cover, and there are little birds right here. Anyway, but I didn't get to this one. I read something else instead, but I really would love to get to this book. This is one where morning pages is discussed, and I've been doing, or at least trying to do, morning pages for quite a while and really enjoy it. And I just would love to see what other strategies Julia might have, and I don't know, there are just a lot of fun exercises and just fun ways of thinking about things differently that I would love to explore in this book. So those are some short reads that are on my TBR, and as I said, hopefully I can do some themed reading weeks where I just chug through as many short books as I possibly can. So let me know what short reads are on your TBR, and are any of these on your TBR? Have you read any of these? Let me know. Be sure to subscribe for more bookish content, and I'll also be sure to leave my Twitter and Instagram link down below. That's where I'd like to hang out, and I'll also leave my climate and sustainability links down below as well, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!